Hello all of you. So now in this class we'll be starting with supply. In the last class we have done about demand. Similarly we'll be doing supply and then we'll be doing the market equilibrium in this class. So what do you understand by supply? When I say supply, just like demand, it's the quantity of goods or services which the firm or the producer is willing or able to sell. Here again, you need the ability and the willingness to sell at a particular price level during a given time period. Now, again, this three words which are very important is the ability to sell, the price point, price level at which they are willing to sell, and the period of time. So this is how you define supply: ability and willingness to sell a given quantity of goods or services at a particular price in a period of time, in a given period of time. Now let's talk about the supply curve. Just like demand curve, supply curve now will be upward sloping. Demand curve, if you all remember, that we did was somewhat like this, downward sloping. Why? Now this is because of law of supply. So let's first talk about law of supply over here. In law of supply, what do you understand is that as the price of a particular commodity increases, the quantity supplied will also increase. What do you mean by this? Is that, for example, if you're talking about the supply of mangoes, now if the mangoes are becoming costlier, right, or it becomes, let's say, suppose the price of the mangoes increases, then obviously the seller, the fruit seller who is maybe selling mangoes, apples, bananas, now will be focusing more on the mangoes because there the profitability is higher. So as the price increases, the quantity supplied will increase for mangoes, right? So this is your law of demand, and that is why the supply curve is upward sloping. By that we mean that if the price increases, the quantity supplied will also increase. For example, if my price goes up to this level of P2, then my quantity supplied will now increase to QS, right? This is because the firm's profitability, the firm wants to increase their profit. And when I say increase in price, I'm saying other things are constant. Always remember, when we are talking about law of demand, law of supply, we are only changing the price of the own commodity. We are only changing the price of our own commodity, and there is no change whatsoever in the any other goods. So if you are thinking as if, okay, the price is increasing, but then there are changes in the other stuff as well, no. When we are talking about law of demand and law of supply, we are only talking about the change in its own price. So if the price of mangoes increases and all the other factors, the cost and price of the other fruits, everything else remains constant, ceteris paribus, then we say that the quantity supplied will increase at, will actually move towards the right? This is your law of supply. If the price increases, quantity supplied will increase. Okay, now similarly, let's talk about the change in quantity supplied, like we studied for the change in quantity demanded. Now what do you mean by change in quantity supplied? So when I say change in quantity supplied, for example, now let us take that we started P1 and Q1. This is the price and this is the quantity supplied. If there is a fall in the price from P1 to P2, then there is a movement. There is a movement along the, this is wrong. There is a movement along the supply curve. There is a movement along the supply curve and the supply quantity. And that is why, right, QS. QS means quantity supplied decreases. The quantity supplied. So if the own price of the commodity is going down, then we say that the quantity supplied will also go down. This is known as change in quantity supplied, or we also say movement along the supply curve, right? From P1 we are moving to P2, and when there is a fall in the price, the quantity supplied will decrease. The quantity supplied will go down, right? So similarly, this is only when the own price is changing. Now let us suppose we are talking about the other factors. Change in the other factors when there is no change in my own price, okay, in the price of the commodity concerned. In that case, we have already discussed, similar to demand, there is a change in the supply. This takes place when there is a change in the factors other than the own price of the good or service. So for example, there are other factors that we'll be discussing. Let's say, suppose if I say that there is a, or let me do one thing, let me quickly discuss with you all the different factors which affects the supply. And when we are talking about the factors, these are the factors other than the own price, right? So there are multiple factors. I've written some of them over here. Now the first factor is price expectation. So just like we did expectations for the demand, the price expectation from the consumer's point of view, similarly we have price expectations from the firm's point of view. Now, if we say that the firm expects that the future price will go down, the firm expects that the future price will go down, meaning now the price will be, now the current price is comparatively higher to the future price what we are expecting, right? So what do we say in such a scenario is that the supply will, now the immediate supply will increase, because they will try to make as much as profit possible now. If I am a seller and I see that maybe in future the price of my good will go down, then obviously what will happen, I will try to sell more of that good today itself, right? So my current supply will go up. So here, as we can see that if, now this is an opposite case which I have written, if the future price goes up, if I expect that the future price will go up, my immediate supply should go down. My immediate supply should go down, meaning there is a decrease, in supply. Is this okay? Just please have a look. Is this fine? So when I'm saying that I am expecting that the future price will be increasing, meaning now the price is lower, right? Now I'm saying that the price which I'm charging today is lower. So why will I sell today? I will sell it tomorrow when the price is high. And that is how, I'll just give you an example quickly. For example, the farmers are expecting that maybe in future, like after 1 month, there will be a shortage for a particular crop or a particular fruit, vegetable, anything. Then the prices are gonna increase. So let's do one thing, don't sell it right away. We'll sell it in future. And so they may not be willing to sell now. And if they are not willing to sell now, there will be a shift in the supply curve. The supply will reduce because the price now is same. There is no change in the own price right now. What is changing is the expectation of the future price. I am expecting that the future price will go up. And if that is what I am expecting, the current supply, the supply now at the today's price level will go down. So let's quickly understand this using a graph. See, so what is happening over here in this case is when I am saying that the current price is at P1 for mangoes, let's say suppose. I am a seller, I am a mango seller. Now, if I say that in future, the price level, I am expecting that the future price, I am expecting that future price will increase. So now at this price P1, nothing is changing. Nothing on the today's price, own price, whatever things you say, nothing is changing. Only the future price expectation will change, that I am expecting that the future price will increase. Current price is P1. So what will I say? Now my immediate my immediate supply will go down, and so there will be a decrease in the supply at the current price. From Q1 we'll move to Q2. At the current price itself we see a shift. This is known as a shift in the supply curve. This is known as the shift in the supply curve. There is no movement happening because there is no change in the own price. What is changing is a factor other than the own price that is changing, and so we are saying that there is a decrease in the supply. Similarly, if I say that the future price will decrease, I am expecting that the mango prices in future, currently let's suppose it's at 500, I'm expecting it will go down to 400. I will think that okay, I have these many kgs of mangoes, let's put everything in the market today at 500 itself and sell everything as much as possible today. Why will I sell it at a lower price and make a less profit or a loss? So I will increase the supply, and there is a shift in the supply curve. You call it either downwards, or you call it rightwards. Clear? Just have a look. You call it downwards or you call it rightwards. Quickly have a look. All right. Now, what are the other factors that are affecting the supply? So, first is the price expectation. Second, we can say that the price of inputs. Right, price expectation, if you quickly revise, if I am saying that the future price will increase, my current immediate supply will go down. Right. Similarly, let's talk about price of inputs. Now, if I am saying that the cost of production, everything else, future price expectation, current price, everything else you can imagine of is constant. What is changing is the cost of production, which is increasing. What do you mean by increase in cost of production? Let's say suppose I am a mango seller. For me, getting mangoes from one location to the place where I'm selling it, the marketplace, that distance, let's suppose the cost of bringing the mangoes over here is increasing because of the increase in the prices of petrol, diesel and all that. Also maybe some other reasons, like my laborers who were getting the mangoes from there, they are charging me more now. Whatever be the reason, your cost of inputs, your cost of production, price of inputs, your inputs can be anything. It can be transportation, it can be labor, it can be the finance that you are raising, the interest you are paying on the finance, anything, any input that you are using, the cost of that is going up. If that is going up and the current price is still at 500, what will you do as a seller? Tell me. Price is 500. Earlier the cost was 250 for me. Everything. Now the cost is, let's say suppose 300. I will sell less at the given price. So if there is an increase in the cost of production, the firm will want to sell less and there will be a shift leftwards or upwards. There will be a decrease. There will be a decrease in supply. Shift of supply curve leftwards or upwards, right? For example, again, if you see the graph, here there was an increase, here decrease. And when you say decrease in supply, you either say it's shifting leftwards or you also call it upwards, right? Okay, so let's discuss the third factor. So the third factor is price or demand of the other goods. Generally, we talk about the price of the other goods. Like if you all remember in the demand, we did two kind of goods, substitutes and complement goods, right? And how the price of substitute was affecting the demand and how the price of complement was affecting the demand of our good. Now, similarly, we'll be doing price of the other goods. Let's suppose take an example of rice and wheat. So for example, when I'm saying that if I as a seller, I'm selling both, or maybe I'm a farmer. Let's suppose I'm a farmer, I'm producing both rice and wheat in my land. Okay. And obviously I can produce any one as well. For example, there is an increase in the price of rice. Now, if the price of rice is increasing, what will happen? Everything else you can imagine of is same, just that only the rice is increasing. Okay, the price of rice is increasing. My profitability in rice will increase because maybe the cost and everything else is same. So as the law of supply suggests, I will be supplying more of rice. I will be supplying more of rice, right? But, and so in order to supply more of rice, I will have to cut down my production on wheat. So my supply of wheat, sorry, will go down. Supply of wheat will go down, right? So this is what I'm saying is, if your price of rice, these goods, these two goods I'm selling together, maybe I can I have a like limitation on my land on which I'm producing these, or if I'm a shopkeeper, then there is a limitation in terms of budget and everything. So if the price of rice is increasing, I see more profitability over here, so I increase the supply for rice. But if I'm increasing the supply for rice, I will definitely have to reduce my supply for wheat, and so the supply for wheat is going down. When the price of rice is increasing, my own good, this is my own good, supply goes down, decrease, moving leftwards or upwards. Okay, let's talk about the the fourth and the fifth factors. Fourth factor is subsidies and taxes. Now, for example, if the government has applied any kind of tax on my commodity, okay, they have applied any kind of, I'll show you the diagram how it looks like. So you definitely are not asked to make the diagram, but again, it's good that you know it. So if this is my supply curve S1, and this is the current price being charged, PE and QE, let's say suppose. So now what will happen if I say that there is a tax imposed? Sorry, I'm very sorry. Just give me a second. I have made a wrong graph. So here, let me make a supply S1. Okay, so this is my supply and this is my P1 and Q1, QP and QE. Okay, now if there is a tax being imposed, meaning I'm able to buy 10 kgs over here, at that 10 kgs I can buy at 5 per kg. Now since the government has imposed 1 rupee tax on each quantity, so this will now become 6 per kg. Okay, it will become what? It will become 6 per kg, and at this 6 per kg, since it has become what? Since the government has applied tax, it has become expensive, right? And so my supply curve will shift upwards. If the government applies, if the government applies tax on a particular commodity or a particular good, it becomes expensive, meaning the price is increasing. And if the price again, so this is an indirect effect, but again, we don't consider when we are talking about the factors other than the price. What we are saying is that if the tax increases, here I've written an opposite case. Here I'm saying that if the tax goes down, if the tax goes down, then the supply increases. So this is the vice versa case which I have explained. In my graph, I've explained the other thing. I'll quickly explain the other part as well. So if this is my S1, let's say suppose this is my price, this is my quantity, P1, Q1. And now if I'm saying that government has reduced the taxes, they have made it cheaper. Okay, LPG. They have recently, if you follow the news, they have reduced the tax on LPG and whatever reduce the, so now if they have reduced the tax, your good has become cheaper, and according to what will happen, and since your tax is going down, you will increase the supply. It will move to the right. If this portion is known as the tax, or maybe this portion is known as the tax portion. Your price does not exactly change by the amount of change in the tax. This is something which we'll be studying later when we'll be studying the implication of tax. But this change in price is not exactly same as what you see the change in your tax. For example, if the government is imposing a tax of, let's say suppose 1 rupee on each quantity of rice, That does not mean that the price will exactly increase by 1 rupee, because there is an impact which is falling on both the consumer and the producer. So the impact of tax, which is 1 rupee, increase of 1 rupee in the tax, falls both, the burden falls on both the producer and the consumer. So obviously the consumer is not bearing it entirely, and they will not entirely pay extra 1 rupees. No. The tax which I am talking about over here is the tax which is being charged on the supplier. It is not on the consumer. So when I am a supplier, I am selling a good. It is a tax which is being charged on the production itself. So the burden is falling both on the supplier and the consumer. So the price will not increase by 1. If your question is in exam that the government charges a tax of rupees so and so on the supplier, this does not mean that the price will increase by that amount only. No, because it is charged directly to the supplier, so the burden will be shared by both consumer and producer, and so in that case the price is not rising by entirely the amount of tax. This is something which you need to keep in mind. And so here, coming back to this point, if there is a decrease in the tax, government is decreasing the taxes or giving subsidies in some of the goods, then for me, what is happening for me in the back end as a supplier? My cost of production is going down. And if the cost of production is going down, my supply will increase. That was the second point, price of inputs. Right? So if tax is decreasing, the supplier tax on the supplier, then there will be an increase in the supply. Okay. Last is the production technology. If there is an improvement in the technology, obviously we all know that the supply will increase. The supply will increase. So if there is an improvement in the production, in the technology, for example, there was one machine which was producing 100 goods in a day. So I have upgraded my technology and now it can produce 150. So obviously the supply will shift to the right or downwards. These are the different factors which are affecting your supply.